Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, today I got a doozy for you. And don't you dare say it. That's what we're talking about. Look, I've been, okay. I had a graduation to attend over the weekend. And I got to thinking as these high school kids were on this stage, just contemplating life and all the things that life has for them, in their future. And they're some forward thinkers. They're thinking about tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. Of course, they're living in today. So it was interesting. And I had this idea that hit me, and I thought, that's an interesting idea. Maybe I should put together a list of all the things that not all, obviously this can't be an all-inclusive list, but a lot of things that you could say in 2024 that would trigger the crud out of people. Now, I'm not doing this for any other reason than I want to talk about these things briefly and then tell you from a clinical lens what to do with this. So I did a couple of things. One, here's your tip of the day. This too shall pass. Yeah, you're like, oh, that thing's so old. Yeah, but believe it, it is true. That is one of those truths that is fantastic for all of us to be aware of. And yes, this too shall pass. Why? Because our peers and our media in the US will tell you to be more sensitive rather than to tell you to work on resilience. I know I use this word sensitive. Why? Because it's one of those things that our media and our peers sort of like, oh, you should be more thoughtful. You should be more sensitive. And don't get me wrong, I am all for being loving and gentle. Absolutely for it. But being sensitive, not so much. Not that I'm not a sensitive guy from time to time, but being sensitive insinuates that I got to tiptoe around your emotions. Well, that's stupid. I don't get to control your emotions and you don't get to control mine. If people attack me, which sometimes they'll send me these little love notes of like, you're dumb and stuff like that. Whatever. It's ridiculous. So sometimes I'll refute them. Most of the time I tend to ignore them. Why? Because I'm not going to empower somebody else with controlling my emotions. That's my job. That's my responsibility. So y'all can say stupid things and you will, and you do, and it is what it is. But let's come back to that sensitive and resilience thing here in a minute. But before I do, I'm going to give you my punchline. Here it is. All the things, not all, but a lot of things you probably shouldn't say in 2024. And I put them into a single sentence. Though often blamed on COVID, there's one of them. We have seen a rise in emotional triggers regarding the words Trump derangement syndrome, F Joe Biden, racism, transphobia, felon, Ukraine, Hamas, illegal aliens, border, gender, masculine, feminine, male, female, laptop, guns, democracy, abortion, toxic, and woke, that are actually a result of propaganda. There you go. There's your sentence punchline. Boom, right in the jaw. All right, let's go back to this whole concept of sensitive and resilience. I'm going to alter something. Why would I say gentleness instead of sensitive? I said loving and gentle. Why would I say gentleness instead of sensitive? Because gentleness, it assumes that you have the control of your emotions, but that I have some responsibility in our social interaction and engagement. It doesn't mean I control you. Sensitive has this sort of negative connotation in the backdrop that says, I'm responsible, but I am not responsible. You have all the rights and abilities to set and hold healthy boundaries. And if you don't do it, frankly, that's your fault. If I'm insensitive, in other words, just being a jerk, well, then that means I'm not meeting my social responsibilities, right? Which is I'm not being kind, thoughtful, gentle, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, in our world of microaggressions, sensitivities have gone up, which means what we're supposed to do is match it with a level of gentleness. No, I'm saying what you have a responsibility to when it comes to gentleness is to be thoughtful of the social arena. But that doesn't mean we have to condone each other's garbage. I hope you don't condone, excuse me, my garbage, the things that are unhealthy about me. And I know some of you are going to use that as a caveat to come in and attack me. Whatever, do your thing. I will probably not pay much attention to it. That doesn't mean I won't take a look at it briefly and ask myself the question that I would expect anybody else to ask, which is, does this feedback fit? If the answer is no, it doesn't fit, boom, it's gone. If the answer is, well, I'm not sure, then I'm going to investigate further. And if the answer is, yes, it fits, well, then maybe I'll make an adjustment because, that's probably what I should do. So in terms of, going from sensitive to gentleness, I think there's a big difference. And I want you to just be aware of that and be less sensitive and still encourage people to be gentle with you. Look, we all have issues. We all have challenges and struggles. Some people are short, some people are tall. You've heard it all here before. But I want gentleness, not sensitivity. I know I'm not responsible for your emotions. And resilience. Now, as a counselor, one of the things that I do is I say it's not an either or. Like that whole crap is just generally, there are some either ors. There is male and female. There is, there is the idea of, you can walk or you can't walk. There's, you can fly or you can't fly. But the truth of the matter, for me, from my vantage point, is that it's often didactic in the sense that it can be both. It could be both resilience and gentleness, right? If I only tell you to work on the things, what I could do with a client, if I sat with a client, I could say, well, look, either I could make them the victim or, teach them to be the victim, or I could teach them to be strong, or I could do both. Let's get smarter, let's get stronger, or let's get both, right? So if somebody I have is, has encountered a situation where they are the actual victim, I'm not going to attack them. But when it's a mindset of being a victim, I'm absolutely going to get after it with them. Why? Because I don't want them to have that mindset. That mindset, it can go deep. Those roots can go all the way down and it can grow and manifest into complete dysfunction. So I would also simultaneously saying, look, I get it, but what I want you to do is work on your resilience, your ability to encounter hard things and come out stronger because of it. It's that whole social workout thing. You go to the gym. Why? To break muscles down. Why? To get stronger. You go to the social arena. Why? To break social, beliefs that are incorrect down and to get stronger so you can learn and grow and become, well, a better peer, friend, father, daughter, son, mother, uncle, aunt, whatever. And that is your responsibility. So when I read this list of things you're not supposed to say, because you might trigger somebody, I would say the vast majority of these should probably be said, should probably be talked about. So let's break it down. Though often blamed on COVID. I mean, look, truth is, you're not supposed to talk about whether COVID was real or not. You're just supposed to blame everything on COVID. We didn't get a graduation during COVID. We didn't get to encounter this experience during COVID. We had to take a vaccine during COVID. COVID. The truth of the matter is that's propaganda at this point. Are we really stuck on COVID? I'm not saying that there aren't some lingering effects of COVID. But if we lean into those as a crutch, well, then you're the one who's going to not learn how to walk because your legs are fine. Well, unless your legs are not fine. Sorry, little caveat for those who I'm being gentle with those who can't walk. All right. We have seen a rise in those emotional triggers, the emotional trigger words. Trump derangement syndrome. Should we be saying that? Look, it's propaganda. I did a whole podcast on it just, last week, probably. It's propaganda. Trump derangement syndrome. Now, do I believe that there is a massive dysfunction because of Donald Trump's, way of going about things, and people are going crazy thinking he is the devil incarnate? Sure, I think that there's some of that going on. This whole idea that people have a disease, a syndrome because of Donald Trump. Look, if you're dysfunctional because you've heard the word Donald Trump, that's your garbage. You need to strengthen your side of the field. That's not on my side of the field. What about the F Joe Biden stuff? Well, one, that's pretty disrespectful. Like, I get the frustration sometimes because I'm frustrated with both of these guys oftentimes. But F Joe Biden, it's propaganda. It doesn't really have a great function other than it's catchy. Just kind of like the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome stuff. It's catchy. But that's an indicator of its propaganda nature. Are you learning anything yet? I hope so. Racism. All of a sudden, you can't say racism? What the heck? Look, truth is, there's lots of racism. Black on black, white on black, white on white. Like, yeah, that's a real thing too, folks. Then you've got all, I could go on and on. I've done this one before. I'm not going to, but here's the deal. Maybe we should stop using the word racism and just talk about the different cultures and how they function in a mixed up, kind of messed up sometimes world. And let's move forward instead of getting stuck in what was. I'm still hearing stuff now about how we need to reconcile and make it right and give millions of dollars. I'm like, hold on now, time out. The people who created all that dysfunction back there aren't even alive to deal with it today. You can't get it from the people who you should get it from. Does that mean it was right back then? Nah, absolutely not. But does that mean that the people today are the ones who owe you? Nah, absolutely not. Does that mean we can't work together and come up with a better system? Of course we can, but we just have to get down off our high horses or low horses or whatever kind of horses we're riding and work together. And let's be real, blaming each other isn't going to make it better. There is not a single way in which that is going to be your solution. It's not going to work. That makes it propaganda. Transphobia. Look, that thing is used as a weapon. Oh, you're transphobic. Oh, you're sensitive. Well, be careful. I probably just created another word you're not supposed to use. But let's be real. I want you to set boundaries when you're being disrespected. I will attempt to love you the very best I know how within my moral framework. I shouldn't step out of my moral framework to condone something, but that doesn't mean I can't love you as you are anyway. Now, I know I talked about this the other day. There is a limit, and that limit is safety. And that is the only time that there should be an intervention of sorts, whether that be mediation, a law, some sort of policy, something like that. Otherwise, let's just have us deal with our junk, because that's better. In terms of psychological, sociological, and cultural development, that's better. Okay. How about felon? I mean, some people are saying, I can't use the word felon. And if I use the word felon, especially in regards to Donald Trump, that I should be banned, shut down, silenced. That is ridiculous. Here's the facts as it sits today. Do what you want with it. Trump today on the books is a felon. And there is a whole process for Donald Trump to go through in order to get that off his record. And will it happen? Probably. Probably. Until then, as of this moment, he technically is a felon. You can talk about all the things that were wrong or all this, or get over yourself. Be less sensitive. And let's negotiate how we move this stuff forward, because that's how we do things in a social arena. We negotiate, not the facts. We don't negotiate the facts. We negotiate our relationship. So the facts are what the facts are. And when those facts change, because they probably will, then we change the way in which we deal with the new reality. Not what you want reality to be, but the new reality. Same could be said about this abortion stuff. The reality is it's at the state level. That's the reality today. And unless that changes, those are the facts. Get over the whole, it should have been a federal issue. And like, if you think that, that's fine. Go do the work to get it put into federal law. Most likely, my hope is that it stays with the states. That's my hope. That's an opinion. You can hate me for it, but I do like it at the state level. I do, because I think the more we have the government interfering in your personal life, the more the problems we're going to have. Now, that doesn't mean they can't create, the federal government can't create some good solutions, because they could if they were functional. But as you know, they aren't right now. All right, Ukraine, Hamas. If you say, I stand with Ukraine, and let's be real, standing with Ukraine right now, well, it does a couple of things. It's a double-edged sword. Let's if we're being honest, it's a double-edged sword. But it's being used as propaganda, and they highlight the edge they want to highlight. That's all it's doing right now. Oh, it's our block between us and Russia taking over the world. But Russia has clearly got what doesn't look like it, at least, no intention of taking over the world. They want to take over Ukraine. And why? Because they believe that Ukraine belonged to them all along. So, whatever. The other edge of that sword is what? Is, if I stand with Ukraine, what does that mean? That means you stand with people who have historically been thieves. No, I'm not saying all the Ukrainians. I'm talking about their government. Thieves. They've been. You could buy Ukraine historically, through their government. Like, that's not a conspiracy. Look at it. It's pretty easy to see. So yeah, go ahead, stand for that. Truth is, if you stand with Ukraine, you're probably doing both of those things. You're condoning a lot of fraud, and you're condoning a lot of defense, so that we, hopefully don't have Russia invade more territory, which would be good too. Kind of weird though. Can't talk about that. And if you do, man, you're going to trigger some people. Hamas, that's a good one. Hamas. How in the world can one of the nastiest terrorist organizations in the world be getting kudos from media ever? How in the world can that happen? Our world is so strange today. I'll tell you how it happens. It's propaganda. It's because what they're doing, it's so obvious to me. I'm just looking at it from a distance. They're mixing Philistine Hamas together, because Hamas is the leadership of Philistine. And they're saying, well, all of these civilians, and they're doing it as propaganda. Why? To attack Israel. Okay, well, that's good. That's clear. Nice. We got that all organized. And then what? And then what? Then you say, I support, Palestine. I don't know if I misspoke a moment ago. Anyway, whatever. I support Palestine. And so because I'm a supporter of Palestine, I have to support Hamas. No, you don't. Like, you can split that. You can say, if they're part of Hamas, they are evil and no good. If they are part of Palestine, then they might be good if they're not part of Hamas. Okay. I could get on board with that. But to lump them all together and say, I have to support Hamas because they're part of Palestine, and no. And if Palestine decides to, align with Hamas again as they move forward, well, to be honest, like, there comes a point at which we swallow our own pill. And by the way, the United States is having to do some of that too, because why? We've got Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Are you kidding me? We can't do better than this? Yeah, we could. We just don't, which means we're going to have to swallow our own pill. One of these two will likely be a leader. I actually don't think that's the case. I think that the Democrats are probably going to replace Biden before the election. But that's been my guess for the last year, and it still hasn't happened. So maybe I'm going to be wrong. All right. You cannot say illegal aliens, although if you go into all of the federal documents and you look at the rules and regulations of border control and policing, everything says illegal aliens. So if you call somebody an illegal alien, oh my gosh, you are evil. It's if we don't like that terminology, get it out of the legislation, get it out of the rules and regulations. Great. Do that. We'll change the language. Until then, it's a fact, whether you like it or not. And is it used for propaganda? Absolutely. Absolutely. Some kid says somebody's an alien, and and they are, and then the kid gets in trouble at school. and then it's propagandized, and voila, you hear about it in the media. Like it's oh my gosh, this evil kid. Oh my gosh, this wonderful kid. Like that's not wonderful, and it's not evil. It's a kid who somehow was taught the proper language under the current system. Change the system if you don't like the system. And then we'll change. It makes sense. It's pretty easy. We can't talk about the border. When it comes to gender, I've done so many on that. I'm moving on. The masculine, feminine thing, I just recently hit that too. Male, female. Let's be real here. There is a male and there is a female. And I'm gonna digress for a moment here for you. God made you that way. Period. As far as I can tell. Look, you're like, can you prove God? My life is a walking evidence that a God exists. My life, your life, this planet, this orbit, this universe is proof that God exists. And if you don't like that, holy smokes, I probably just triggered you there too. Hey, look, I'm okay with that. Set a boundary. Turn off my podcast. That's okay. It's an option. But you should be able to say male and female. And you should have an understanding of what that means. Laptop, all of a sudden you talk about a laptop. People are like, huh? They look at you funny. Are you kidding me? Thank you, Hunter Biden. Guns, like guns do not kill people, folks. They don't kill people. People kill people. People are evil, not guns. Now, should guns be treated with gentleness and respect? Absolutely. We don't want accidental killings, but the guns don't do it. The people do it. Democracy, all of a sudden, the propagandizing that's going on around democracy. No, we are a republic. Yes, true. We are a republic, a democratic republic. But now we're just creating confusion. The propaganda is there to create confusion so that you don't know what's what. Okay, so you go study, right? You can't say abortion. I hit that a moment ago. Toxic? Toxic? Are you kidding me? If somebody says you're toxic, now all of a sudden you have to defend yourself. Toxicity in a relationship means both people are brought down. If it's one stays neutral and one comes down, that's not toxic. It's unhealthy relationship. If both go down, it's toxic. If one goes up and one goes down, it's unhealthy. If both go up, it's healthy. If it's neutral and neutral, it's okay, but it becomes a very it's parallel lives being lived together. It's the roommate situation more than anything else. Okay. But if one goes up and one stays neutral, that's a relationship that also can survive. The trick is don't drop anybody down. If it's unhealthy, one goes down or the other goes down, get out. The one who's getting the unhealthy, get out. Set a boundary and get out. Okay. If both go down, it's toxic. All right. And woke. Are you kidding me? Having your eyes open is a beautiful thing. But acting like, you're the only one with your eyes open, that's not technically being woke. That's being propagandized to. That's being prejudice. It's being prejudice. So if you're woke right now, you're prejudiced. There's no winning on that one. Let's just form relationships, folks. So much better when we do that. So I went through this list, which, by the way, is one of the more triggering lists I've probably ever created on my podcast. And some of y'all are going to be irritated that I talked reasonably about them. You're like, oh, you can't do. I just did. I just talked reasonably about all these things, and some with a fair amount of passion. I'm not going to lie, but reasonable, never out of control. And you and I could have that conversation if you would engage with us. So here's what I'd say. Go into the notes of this podcast right now, find a link that works, and communicate with us. Let's have conversation about this. If something in here really hit you in a positive way and you're like, yes, somebody's saying it finally, let us know. If you're like, this part you were so wrong about, let me know that too. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.